Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. Yes, this is live. This is your live Hammers headlines covering the David Moyes press conference. Now, what goes on here, especially if it's live? First and foremost, this is an association with our good friends over at Knees Up Mother Brown, kumb.com. If you are new to us and you haven't heard of them, and you probably have heard of them because they've been around for several years, a couple of decades, go across, check them out. Good forum, good website, great information, and you get a good chance to speak to all West Ham fans from all over the world having good banter. So please do go across and check those guys out at Knees Up Mother Brown. Of course, we are the West Ham Network. We bring to you our daily videos, several West Ham shows throughout the day. Earlier on, I did a mini preview with my dad. So it's two generations colliding. He's an old Eastender. He comes and I call him the Oracle of West Ham. He talks a bit more sense into my logic. He gives his logic behind why West Ham should do a specific thing in a game. So go and check that out. That was our daily from earlier on. Tonight we do have, I was going to say the relaunch of the Gift of the Gab, but we've changed it now, and it's called the Old School Hammers. If you just want a good old chinwag with a couple of West Ham fans, Budgie and Kieran, make sure you join them at 11 p.m. this evening. It's a very relaxed, cool vibe, proper chilled out West Ham chinwag late. Gives all you fans from all over the globe a chance to get involved in a West Ham chat. So be as interactive in the chat as you possibly can. If you are new around here, then go and hit that cheeky subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're on the march towards 20,000 subscribers. If you are watching just now, hit the thumbs up as well. Give us as much of your honest feedback. We absolutely appreciate it. So leave it in the comments as well. Now we focus, though, on the Europa Conference League. We've got Anderlecht, West Ham, of course, travel to Belgium, and the press conference took place today. And David Moyes is always, as always, when he does a Europa Conference or a European press conference, he's joined by a player, and this time it's the captain, Declan Rice, that joined David Moyes today. So keep your comments coming in because it'll be an interactive show because I am live as well. So that's cool, and we get a chance to have a chinwag. Why not? But I'll get started on today. Well, I'll jump into the chat, just see who is kicking about first and foremost. James Bong is in the house. If you are watching and you haven't commented, why not throw a comment in there? And I'll just, you don't have to get engaged with everyone. Just come in and say hi. But it's really cool to see you as well. James, good evening, geezers and geezerettes. Jan Phillips is in the house. Hi, everyone. Hammer Molders, morning from LA, James, and everyone. And you're not a happy man, Ahmet, are you? But let's just remain positive if we can. Now, first and foremost, Declan Rice was asked the question about returning to European football. So I will bring up to you what he firstly said today in the press conference. He said, "It's an honor. I've got that responsibility to be back in Europe is key again. I like to keep playing, to keep the momentum building. That's where the confidence flies. And last season, that was key for me. I was thinking if I went out there and had a good game, that would be good for the team and good for me too. And listen, I don't remotely deny at all that Declan Rice has got the best interest of West Ham's heart in his mindset. He wants the best for this club. I do genuinely think he absolutely loves this club. And I think West Ham are slowly but surely getting the better of themselves. And I think, tomorrow evening is a really good opportunity now, a massive opportunity for West Ham to progress as a club, try and open up that gap between us and Anderlecht. And we need players like Declan Rice to lead from the front, to step up from the front and show what he's capable of doing and what West Ham are capable of doing. But this, I think, is an intent by bringing him to the press conference. Of course, he's the captain, but I think we will see him start the game as well. So put your comments. Let me know your thoughts on that. He was asked about the World Cup and the schedule that West Ham have on the lead up to the World Cup. He says, I feel like it's been a kickstart directly into my West Ham career. And it's been the best way to integrate. It's very important because I had no games in pre-season. So getting into games felt like a cold start for me. And getting that confidence is important for me. I've been involved straight away. And for me, it's felt good. I didn't have so many games in pre-season. So having my debut right away helped me. I feel like I'm getting there. I think that I have followed the Premier League before. I knew I would have adapted. And I think, I don't know. Sorry, that is wrong. I don't know where that's, what is that? That is the wrong slide, so I do apologize for that, but let me get you exactly what he said on the World Cup schedule. I have no idea where that popped up, so I do apologize for that. But he was asked about the World Cup schedule and what his mindset is on the lead up to that, alongside the fact that he's going to have several games to play for West Ham. Now he did say, where are we? He said, every game I go into, I walk off having given my all. There's a World Cup coming up, but the focus is West Ham because we need to push up the table, which is rightly so. We do need to massively push up the table. And then he's talking about the amount of games that West Ham play, and it's 60 games a season, as West Ham did last year. He says, sometimes it's a luck thing, whether you get injured, but I try to keep myself as fit and healthy as possible away from the pitch. I want to play as many games as I can. Now, I said this beforehand. He loves playing games for West Ham. You sign up to European football to play European football, and Declan Rice has never shied away from that. So no matter if it's the Europa Conference League or the Champions League, which is what most West Ham fans and players and anyone would really want to do, he's going to want to show up and turn up and be in part of those games. And that's why I can see players of the fitness levels of Declan Rice playing this game in particular. So again, put your comments in, let me know your thoughts. He was asked about captaincy. What's it like taking over from Mark Noble? He went on and he said, I've not found it tough because I've learned so much from Nobes and how he was with the players. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that he made look easy. I'm still learning, but I'm enjoying it too. There's so much I can do. The best players in the world are still trying to improve, and I want to do more in possession and take the game by the scruff of the neck more because I feel like I've got it in me. And I do as well. And I think really what you get to see here and what you're listening to when it comes to Declan Rice saying his comments is there's no ifs or buts about it. He's learned from one of the best captains, a one-man club in terms of Mark Noble. And now Mark Noble's back, that will give him the boost. And you can see the love and dedication and care he's got towards Mark Noble when you've seen him return to the club earlier on this week at the training camp. But he says the fact that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, I've said this before about Mark Noble, I think we underestimated him as West Ham fans because he did so much behind the scenes, and he looks like he's learning and he's going to enjoy that and he's going to grow. He's still so young to be captaining a football club. That's going to make him, you could say, make or break people. And I don't think this is going to break Declan Rice. I think this is going to make him be the proper making of him. And you can see his game trying to adapt to a more possessional game. That's why players like Lucas Paqueta allows Declan Rice to push on and give more to his game, which I think is vital for his game. And I think he is more than capable of being more in possession and taking the game by the scruff of the neck, which is what he says. So it's exciting times to come. It really is. And I'm glad that Declan Rice came to the press conference. And I don't know if that's a little bit of a nod to say, yeah, do you know what? Declan is going to be playing in the game. So we'll have to wait and see when the team news is announced as well. Hammerhead's in the house. Evening, Sexy Hammers. Good to see you. Smash the like button, people. Gary Page, evening. Surely Benny gets a start. Well, we'll have to wait and see, but I do think he will as well. He says, I think we need to swap some players, but maybe only after a good first half. Artel says, evening, all. Good to see you, my friend. And what does everyone think of Fornals? For me, he runs around like a headless chicken with no one in product, but I know I'm in the minority. I must admit, Hammer Molder, I do think you're in a minority. I really do. You're more than entitled to your own opinion, and I respect that. But for me, Fornals is someone who's come to this club, who's understood it from an international from an international element. He's lived and breathed the club. He's understanding what, the history and what it means to be a West Ham player. It's vital that players like him understand that and how important it is. But I think the key element I've got with Pablo Fornals is that he was brought in as a creative midfielder, and look what David Moyes has made him become, one of the most energetic animals in the middle of the park. He can really contribute to the team. He's vital for a West Ham squad. Absolutely vital. Jan says Fornals is okay, but he really tries and loves the club. Have to rewind this. How much have I missed, guys? Literally only 10 minutes, mate. So don't worry. Just join us with the live. Just stay with the live if you want. If you want to kind of and we can go from there. I agree, Johnny tries hard and loves the club, but that doesn't make him a good player. I think he does. I think he is good. Fornals should be training, not clubbing. No one turned the ball over and play over faster than Pablo Fornals. Yeah, valid point. Now let's get on to David Moyes, which is the reason why you're here. David Moyes was talking to the press today about the game ahead against Anderlecht in the Europa Conference League tomorrow. He went on and was asked about beating Wolves. He said, I was extremely relieved to get the win against Wolves on Saturday. I've got great support from our owners and everyone behind the club. We feel that we're building something and trying to make West Ham a consistent team in the Premier League. And there's that famous word, consistency. It's vital. It was on the tip of his tongue every single press conference last season, and it's the first time I've clocked that he's mentioned it in this press conference, and it's vital because that's how he builds his season, is consistency, momentum, and he'll be absolutely over the moon. We got the victory over Wolves, and it's vital we can continue to get victories on the board. That's why I think there'll be a strong mix of players in the mix for the game tomorrow as well. So delighted to see the victory over Wolves. Carry on the momentum, carry on the confidence. That's what West Ham need in order to keep progressing as far as we can. Then he was asked about Anderlecht. Of course, he said the first thing is that I wouldn't disrespect Anderlecht at all. It's incredibly difficult to get results away in Europe. They'll see a chance of beating us and getting above us in the group, as we're going to play each other twice very quickly. It's important. We want to win the group if we can, and if we qualify and get European football after Christmas, again, that will be great. I think being good in any cup competition is very important for supporters, for the whole club. They haven't conceded a goal in the competition, and that tells you that they'll be a hard team to beat. We go out there, we have to try and play well. We're still trying to build our team and improve, and I'm sure Anderlecht are the same. Now, there's a lot of comments here I really like, respecting the opposition. That's exactly what we want to hear. Don't get too cocky, don't get, in that situation. Anderlecht haven't started off well in their own domestic league, neither have we, but I do think that we've got the ability to click, and I think we will click, and I think games like tomorrow evening are going to be really vital to West Ham for progressing, because as David Moyes has just said there, we play them in quick succession. In 7 days, we play Anderlecht twice, and it's vital we get as many points as we can, open that gap up, and hopefully by the end of the 2 games can in theory have qualified for the next round. That's where we want to be at, because we want to have European football in the bag before Christmas, and we don't have to massively concern ourselves in that department, but we have to get the job done. That's the vital part. Right, now he went on and spoke about the West Ham squad. He said, I think we wanted a stronger squad of players so we could come to Europe and play a really strong team. We made a good go of it at the group stages. We ran out of steam towards the end. When we came back to the Premier League, we've just about got everyone back. And I mean, listen, we did need a stronger squad. I'm not going to go over it. We spoke about it several times. But, the amount of times that he has talked about building this squad. We've got the squad. He's got the players. Now it's time to utilize them and get them going in the right direction. That is exactly what we need to do. He was then moved on, and let's talk about team news, the big important part for the game, of course. He said everybody has travelled except for Maxi Cornet, who has a little bit of a calf strain. It was difficult because we want to get Maxi up to speed. He didn't have many preseason games, and he's contributed in quite a few of the games recently, but he's not with us over here. Now, that's, from what I understand is that Cornet injury isn't as bad as first thought. So something to do with a calf strain, and there's expected to hopefully be available for maybe the game at the weekend. I think it would be too early. I've seen him in some of the training sessions when we trained at the football stadium. I've never seen if he was actually training on the park, but he was there with the players, which is really good, and he's not travelled, so he's going to stay at home and do what he needs to do to support his rehabilitation to come back into that team. For me, Max Cornet is important. I think he's going to have a bright future at West Ham, and I think he just needs a run of games in the Premier League. Very unfortunate to get the injury against Wolves. deals. We got the deal done over the line. We got the result over the line. And I think he's going to be vital to West Ham's season moving forward. And when he comes back from this little niggle, again, it will feel like another new signing. You know, you feel like you're suddenly bedding in players like Paqueta. You're suddenly bedding in players like Scamacca. We've already bedded in Kira as well. Emerson's getting a bit of a run out. Now you want to see Maxi Corney get that opportunity as well. And I think he will get that opportunity. What do you think on Maxi Corney? Please let us know in the chat as well. Next up, though, and another cool thing for us all to hear is the young players. They have brought Ollie Scarles with them, who is 16. And he says, I know Anderlecht have some young players too. It's a great thing that young players get their opportunities. We always want to promote the younger players if they are doing well. Now, I think this is really, really cool that Moyes has brought this young lad. And it's not just him. There's a few of the young players that have been in and around the first team as of late. Yesterday, I reported on Levi Lang. The young player got sent off for the under-21s. And he was in the first team training and was holding his own against players like Saeed Ben Rama, etc. But the player that was training with the West Ham first team today, first and foremost, was Reagan Clayton. So Reagan, who played wing back last year, he's a very tenacious player, hard-working, and has a great left foot. He knows the game very well for such a young player, and he appeared regularly for the under-18s in the 21-22 season. He made his competitive under-23s debut as a second-half substitute, the 4-2 win over Crystal Palace under-23s in South London. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that you're starting to see the integration, hopefully, of the younger players coming in. But what does that mean? Do they get given a shot out in Anderlecht? I don't think they're going to play. I think what Moyes is insinuating is there's opportunities there, though. There's opportunities depending on how far we get into this. And I think if we can get qualified as quickly as we possibly can, we may see the integration of some of the younger players, like what happened last season in the Europa League. And on top of that, as I said, Ollie Scales was included in and has travelled with the squad. He's a versatile young player. He's a holding midfielder. He joined the academy when he was 12 years old. He is only 16 and has worked his way through the age groups, playing for the West Ham under-18s at just 16 in the 21-22 season. He just made 25 appearances in all competitions, scoring once. He would conclude, he signed a scholarship deal back in June of 2022. So we've obviously got another crop of young talent coming through the ranks, and it's exciting. It really is exciting to see. And I'm delighted that David Moyes has included the young lads there now. We've had this conversation so many times on this channel about why don't the young players breed through into the first team. And I think I understand why they don't now, and I understand why players go out on loan and do that. And I think you're going to have to be extra special, next level special, to be able to stand a chance. You've got Harrison Ashby kicking back in, who's not getting regular game time in the first team. Ben Johnson is coming back from injury as well. Naif Aguard to come back into the squad. And then you're talking about, you know, we've got a good, strong squad, and now you're talking about these younger players, 16 and 17-year-olds, training with the squad, stepping up where they can. We've got a whole host of young players out on loan, Longello, Okoflex, just to name a few. And I think this is still, I believe it to this day, there's a strong youth setup. I do think they're coming through the ranks. It's just about when and if they will ever find their opportunity. I think the only chance they're really going to get to show what they're capable of doing is if we can qualify for the next round as quickly as we can in the Conference League. So let me know your thoughts. I'll jump into the chat now before I continue with the rest of the show. No, I'm not going to shave Dalek. Don't you worry, mate. Respecting opposition. Oh no, defensive 4-2-3-1. Let's be a little. No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. 2 up, 2 down hammers. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world, of course, if you are watching the show. But good to see you. 2 up, 2 down hammers. He had the chance to strengthen the squad. He chose not to add to it, and the team ran out of steam. His fault. Well, we'll wait and see. He talks the talk and suffers out. He does the opposite. Hammer Mulder says, with Corney out, Moyes will play Fornals. I would rather play Benny. I think we will see Benny. I don't have any doubts about that. I think we will. We'll have to wait and see. Evening, Hammers, about to drive, so we'll be earwig only. Thank you, Hammer, and good to see you. Please, it isn't serious with Corney. No, it's not. It's not, so we'll see him, so let's not worry about that as well. And you're all talking to each other. Peter Jones, Mulder, can see you've never played When is Moyes going to treat Benny and Areola fairly? Well, I think we'll see Areola and Benny feature tomorrow. So let's see what happens there. And to be honest with you as well, you know, if you're going to play guaranteed 20, 25 games a season between the Europa Conference League, all the other cup competitions, and the Premier League, like, let's put this one into the equation, and I'll ask you in the chat. Fabianski played the Premier League last year. Areola played the Europa League. What was the most enjoyable competition to be in? And if you're Fabianski looking at Europa League, you're one game away from a final. Tell me you don't want to be in that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where it's got to be weighed up. I do think that Areola will transition eventually into West Ham's first keeper, but what time will tell, obviously. Played a lot, Peter, but I will admit it was not good. I agree with Benny Starn if Corney is out. Scales was pictured with Rice earlier today, but don't know if he'll get a look in tomorrow. I don't think he will, but I think it's good to get them in and around the squad, and I suppose it shows the intent of David Moyes to give the players the opportunity to be around there as well. Moyes was asked about the schedule at West Ham. He then went on and said, last year we didn't give them much time off in terms of the players and kept it going, but you could feel we had great momentum last season and we wanted to keep it going. This year we haven't started so well, and I've wanted to give them a bit more time off to see if it was too much. We're trying to make sure the players who were here before are getting back to their levels, and the spirit here is fantastic, which is a real strength to what we've got. And I think there's your first indication to, again, him highlighting that some of the players haven't been stepping up to the standards that they were last year. Now, things we know very clear to the eye, but good to see that Moyes is recognising that and understanding that. And you could turn around and say, well, why are you giving some of these players the chance to keep playing in the side? But, it's just the David Moyes thing, and it's the manager's thing. It's his choice. We are just who we are, sitting here commenting on the press conference. But the point I'm trying to make is that he recognises that players aren't up to the standards, and he's trying to rejig something. West Ham, I'm going to say it again, we're transitioning football club. We have to transition in the positive direction, and we all called for players to come in. Moyes knew we needed players to come in, and it's going to take time to bed in. We sit here during the summer transfer window and relentlessly, within reason, slagged off Nottingham Forest for signing so many players. We signed a dramatically less amount of players than what Nottingham Forest did, and it's taken us time to bed them in as well. Now, people get frustrated by that, but it is the truth. It is the truth. So I think, we'll get better. It's a big October. We've got one result over the line, which is fantastic. We've got 12 more games to play between now and the end of the winter before the World Cup to start. So we need to get as many points on the board, qualify for as many tournaments as we can, so we can go into this break rested and get the players ready for the World Cup as well. Now, the next question he was asked was, Europe or Premier League, what's the priority? So the question I'll ask to you is, you who's watching right now, what is the priority for you guys? He says, I have to say that doing well in the Premier League is always so important, but doing well in the Premier League gets you into Europe, and we're really enjoying being here. We had a brilliant run last year. The focus will always to make sure you're a sound, competitive Premier League team. But if you have the squad to do well in the cup competitions, you want to do that, and that's what I want to do. There you go. There's his indication for the season. He wants a cup. Absolutely. He wants to balance the ability to be able to do well in the league. He wants to do well in the league, but also go ahead and win silverware, because he knows how important it is for a club that haven't won silverware for so long. And again, it goes back to asking yourself the question, what do we want? Do we just want to qualify for the Champions League and not win any silverware? Or would you accept 7th and winning a cup? I honestly would accept winning a cup and take 7th place. I would take 10th place and winning a cup right now. Absolutely, because a cup, the Brucey bonus says, you get the cup, you get the trophy. The people in my era who have never seen us win a trophy, except for the Intertoto Cup or a playoff final, if we win a cup, we can qualify for a European competition next year. So you can not back off the league, if you get my sense, but you've already qualified for the European competition. So I just desperately want to win a cup. I want to, in my lifetime, see West Ham win a cup competition. So I appreciate the comment here. I understand. I get it. I absolutely understand why he puts the Premier League in theory as a priority, because you need to do well in the Premier League. It's the bread and butter. It's what generates most of the income. It's very important, he says, and it gets you into Europe, which is what we want to do, and he's enjoying being there. But he does say, and I love it, he says, if you have the squad, which I think we do, to do well in the cup competitions, you want to do that, and that's what I want to do. I've got to give him credit where credit's due. It's a good comment, and I like to see things like that as well. And that's it. That's his press conference for you today. Kimbo's in the house. Good evening, everyone. I think you are all disagreeing or agreeing with each other. Artel is saying, but if is Moyes recognising his own faults too? Well, he did say it. He did say it, so I believe he is. It's nice to see some of the younger players get a chance to play and show how good they are. Many of the bigger teams do it. Plus, when Beckham played for Man United, there were a number playing in that team. Stephen, you're right, 100%. But I do think the game has changed a lot recently. Well, not recently, in recent years. It dramatically has. It's going to be tougher now for a lot of these younger players to make the step through because of the amount of money that's involved. And it's a shame. It really is a shame, but it really hit home to me in particular last season. I listened to a very good podcast that was talking with ex-professional players. And the question that was asked to them was, what's your advice to a lot of young players? And their advice was, go leave the club you're at if you're not getting game time and go out on loan. And if you're not going to go out on loan, then look at leaving the club full time in the future. Because if you want to make a career in football, you need to play games. You simply need to play football. Going on a bench and getting the experience abroad is fine for a certain extent, depending on what age you are. But if it's no outcome at the end of it and you're not getting games, then you need to go and get those experience, because you're not going to make a career of yourself for it. And that's the thing. There's some players in the past, I would love to do a bit of due diligence on it. But I believe there are players who have been in and around Premier League squads that then have dropped 6 or 7 tiers because they stuck around to try and get given that chance, and it didn't happen. And I think if we look at AJ Alessi as a prime example, I was his biggest fan. I thought he was going to make the step up for West Ham, but he was never going to get there because we had Dawson, Ogbonna coming back from the ranks. We signed Naif Aguerd. We've got Zuma. We've got Kira coming in through the door, just to name a few. So it means that he's going to drop further down the ranks and not get the chance. And he was the wrong side of his 20s. The difference between him and Baptiste is he's the wrong side of his 20s. So he's going to have to move to get the chance, which is what he's done now. He's at Sunderland. It started off a bit rocky a couple of games, but he's absolutely bossing it in the back of the defence in the Championship. He's got no problems back there at all. He's extremely comfortable, left-footed centre-back, but can play out as left-back as well. I still think we missed a trick with him, but sometimes I just need to learn to back off and say all the best, AG, and we'll see what happens with that as well. If we get to the Europa final, Moyes would drop Ariel and put Fabs in. I don't see it, mate. I don't see it. I really don't. Hammer Mulder says, I would take middle of the league if we win the FA Cup as well. 7th and a win of Cup, and I remember the 70s and bits of the 60s. What youngsters are in the squad? Anton missed the start, so you've got Ollie Scales. Let me get the images for you here. Ollie Scales has been taken with the squad. That's the confirmed player that we know that's definitely been taken. 16-year-old holding midfielder. And Reagan Clayton trained with the squad. We don't necessarily know if he's actually travelled with the squad. I believe he has, but we're just waiting to get the confirmation that he has travelled with the squad. So it's a great opportunity for these two young players as well. Now, what we do know is Levi Lang, who was also training with the squad yesterday, another player to try. We don't know if he's travelled, so we'll have to wait and see. But it is good to see these younger players around the squad, Howard. It is really good. So there you go. There's your press conference. There's your David Moyes press conference. Anderlecht next. Big, vital, important game. Well, of course, tomorrow we'll be bringing you our match day live. The kickoff is 5:45. So we'll be streaming from around 4:40-ish, something like that. So make sure you do stick around for the content we've got coming on the channel. We've got tonight the first episode of the Old School Hammers. So make sure you come and join Budgie and Kieran for that. 11 o'clock at night if you're at a loose end and you want to have a chin wag, go in. It's very interactive, very comments led as well. So you get your opportunity to give your opinion across and do it as well. And it really helps for West Ham fans all over the world to get some live content and engage with other West Ham fans. And that's the purpose of the show, to put it on as late as we possibly can and give you a voice. That's what we want to do. Give you a voice as well. Earlier on today, I did a daily with my dad, a preview of the game ahead of tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have the match day morning. You've got everything, stat attack, the mini preview, you name it. It's all coming your way. And after the game tomorrow, we'll give you a live review as well. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are new around here, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please make sure you do hit the thumbs up. Please leave a comment and give us your honest feedback as well. Go across and check out Knees Up Mother Brown. Absolutely go and check them out as well. Fantastic website where you get a lot of great information. And of course, as we always do, we like to say thank you very much to everyone who is a member. And like I said, stay safe, everyone. And of course, come on, you Irons.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should tell